We have another interesting development in the Georgia shooting. Apparently, they're charging the father, too. So yeah, it was a 14-year-old kid who did the shooting. You know, naturally, the kid has long hair, so some right-wingers on Twitter are like, is this individual transgender? You know, you expect that. That's going to happen no matter what. Apparently, the father's being charged, too. Colin Gray, 54, faces murder and manslaughter charges. He's accused of allowing his son to have access to the military-style rifle used in the shooting despite knowing, quote, he was a threat to himself and others, according to arrest warrants. This happens a lot. The gun, a black AR-15 semi-automatic rifle, wow, an AR-15, what a shocker, was a Christmas present to the boy, Colt Gray, from his father in 2023. Yeah, apparently the son was investigated for being like a threat to others, and then he got the gun, charged with second-degree murder, other crimes in connection with the attack. Judge Mingledorf, fantastic, told Mr. Gray the maximum penalty for the charges against him, which include involuntary manslaughter and cruelty to children, would add up to 180 years in prison. Well, that's not quite how it works, but, you know. So what specifically... They talk about this? Relatives suggested that he had a troubled home life. Charlie Polhemus, the teenager's maternal grandfather, said he believed his grandson was responsible for what happened, but also cast some of the blame on the tumult in the teenager's life with his father, who had split from his wife. Did what he did from the environment. Let's see. In May of last year, FBI officials were alerted to some disturbing messages on Discord, a social media platform. Oh, thank you for the context. Someone in a group chat had threatened to possibly, quote, shoot up a middle school. A report from the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, obtained by the New York Times, said an email associated with the Discord user who had made the threat belonged to Colt Gray. The report detailed how investigators looked into it but were unable to definitively link the threats to the boy, then 13, who denied that he had made the post. At the time, Colin Gray told an investigator that he and his wife were no longer together and they had been evicted from their home. And that was in May of last year. And when was the gun gifted? In 2023. Well, that doesn't tell me the month. I think the father gifted his kid a gun after the kid was... Oh, a Christmas present. I'm stupid. Yeah, Christmas present, 2023, yeah. So yeah, they gifted a 14-year-old boy an AR-15 after he was investigated by the FBI for potentially threatening to shoot up a middle school. And then look what happened. Yeah, I'd say the father is pretty on the hook for this one, guys. I don't know. This is why we need red flag laws. Yeah, it's a pretty big no-brainer. It's a pretty big no-brainer. This is one of those, even for relatively pro-gun individuals like myself, this is one of those situations where you're going to get, like, a pretty obvious... Like, there's no argument against this, you know? Come on. Why does this always happen, Vosh? Well, and this is one of the reasons why I say that, like, mental health is a big element of this. Usually when people do shootings, it's not out of nowhere, you know? People don't usually, like, go about their day-to-day life acting normal and then snap out of nowhere. You look into them and it turns out they were weirdo freaks who are obviously a danger to themselves or others, you know? It's like, that tends to happen. That's reasonably common. Red flag laws are a way of addressing this, you know? If a person gives you psycho vibes, you can yoink their guns. I mean, that's part of the idea, at least. It's also a gun culture thing, right? The idea of a father gifting a child an AR-15 for their 14th birthday is psychotic. Like, we are so far removed from the, oh yeah, we live out in the countryside. Every young boy's got to learn to fire a rifle so they can hunt. Like, we're so far away from the platonic ideal of a child owning a firearm. Suburban Georgia have an AR-15. You know fully well that dad wanted his son to have an AR-15 in case BLM happens again, okay? White family, suburbs of Georgia, near Atlanta. Get real, okay? I know what you're talking about here. Yeah, they called an AR-15 because you're supposed to wait for the 15th birthday to gift it. Vosh, I've been shooting guns since I was 8. Parents started me on a 22 and went from there, and we suburban as... Yeah, and I think it's weird. I think it's weird. I do think it's weird. I think guns are neat, and I think we're kind of locked in with them in the context of American gun culture. I just think it's really strange how guns, which are exclusively tools designed to kill, that is what they do. You can go practice at a range with them if you want, but that's what they're for. Don't pretend otherwise. Ruben and Pigeon are playing. Like, oh yeah, we need to get like 10-year-olds in on this. Why? Genuinely, why? I don't get it. I don't get it. If you think it's a survival skill thing, like there are way better things you can teach them. You know what I mean? For safety, that doesn't make anyone safe. No one in the world is made safe for raising children to use guns. That does, in no way, shape, or form is a culture that normalizes that one that is safer than one that doesn't. It should, yeah, it's indoctrination into gun culture. It is what it is, you know? People think about it, it's part of their life now. It's weird. It's just weird. Knowing how to use firearms literally prevents accidents. Knowing how to use a power drill and a car press prevent accidents. You don't need to raise 8-year-olds from like, oh yeah, we've been teaching our son how to use like wire cutters since he was 6 years old. What are you talking about? Quit pretending it's about safety. Learning how to use grenades prevents accidents. True. I genuinely don't think the average American understands how psycho this is until they see like a black or Arab kid holding a gun. And then they're like, whoa, hold on a sec. Like, you'll get Fox News will post pictures of like, look at this radical Islamic family in North Africa where a family is all posing with guns. And the you know, that's crazy. And it's like, dude, they're literally doing what you do in Montana. It's exactly the same. Or you see a bunch of like urban thug young black men posing with their gun. You do the same thing. You just think it's normal because you're out there wearing camo to a gun range like a psychopath, and like you're pretending that it's part of some like ancient tradition of Midwestern living. You know, when you're not hunting, you're not using your gun for anything. You're just fear-mongering over, like, the big happening. That's like showing them how to use power tools to prevent accidents. Yes, okay. Are you, like, genuinely, are you dumb? Do you think that's something that parents do with kids? Hey, 8-year-old, we're now going to train you every week on how to use a power drill in case you have to use a power drill. Mind you, a power drill is a tool that you use to improve and fix your home, and a gun is a tool you use to kill people. Why would you? You don't need to. You don't need a lifetime of gun training to use a gun safely, okay? It doesn't take that long to learn how to use a gun safely. You don't need to like indoctrinate every child on normalize. Here's a little metal box you can hold, and if you use it wrong, you kill something. We're gonna like, this is gonna be a part of your life from now on for some reason, even though you're under no threat and you don't hunt. Like, you have no reason to engage with it at this level. It's just a part of your life now. Why? What about teaching martial arts? What the fuck? There's no relationship. The only person who thinks there's a relationship between training children on firearms and martial arts are the psychopaths who think that everyday, like, concealed carry is necessary to survive in the modern America. Like, what do you mean? Martial arts is exercise. It teaches confidence, balance. Sure, great, you know, get into that. You're not getting healthier shooting guns. Do you all like concealed carry every day? Like, are you afraid of the cities? Is this a conservative did I go live to the wrong channel? Is this the wrong stream key? I don't get it. I don't get it. Did you see news of the mass karate chopping an hour ago? It was brutal. Can it be okay to let a kid shoot a family gun if that's family tradition? I'm not here to dictate your life to you. I'm just saying that I think it's weird. Like, here's a killing tool that you objectively don't need. I'm going to raise everyone on learning how to use it. I don't get it. You know, it doesn't take that long to learn how to use a firearm. Like, sure, if you want to be a crack shot, if you want to be a marksman, which, again, you don't need to be, that takes training. But in terms of, like, safely using a firearm, it's really not that complicated. It's just a high-stakes thing to f up. Completely untrue. Muzzle awareness can take a while to learn later in life. Maybe for you, I got that shit down pat real easy. As a child, I would simply not give a child a gun. Oh man, this is now I'm on the anti-gun side of the Discord. The Europeans are looking in from the window and they're like cackling at me. They're like, "This is what you get, American. This is what you get for facilitating the discourse." You know. Now we're arguing over whether or not 8-year-olds firing at the range is a no. It's not. They don't need to. They don't need to. It's not necessary. Is it legal to give your child a gun? Yes. For me, it's a gun culture thing. I think that like in a good world, guns just wouldn't really be a part of your learned experience. It wouldn't be a part of your life much, right? Like, is this not the peace that all true warriors strive for? Young man, why are you training with the sword? Do you fear the coming winter? Do you think there will be fighting? Do you hear the omens of war? Like, I feel like you should be learning how to pluck turnips from the ground. Go get a girl pregnant or something. I don't know. Why are you training with the sword? Were you not advocating for trans people to arm themselves a year ago? First of all, I didn't say trans people. I said left-leaning people, and I still believe that. Second of all, I said in a good world. But I don't think that, like, the project of arming yourself in anticipation of right-wing militias trying to occupy your city involves, like, training your 10-year-old at a range. You know, I don't think those... I think that if the big happening happens, I think 10-year-olds are probably just going to, like, shit their pants and cry and hide, and I think that that's what God intended for them. If they're too young for the sword, they shouldn't be getting girls pregnant. No, I'm saying they shouldn't be learning the sword at all. It's not an age thing. I just want people to be happy. Either way, this dad is probably... which is good. I also hope it goes without saying that a lot of the people who are, like, the biggest advocates for guns in America are psychopaths, right? Like, we talk about guns in a kind of abstracted sense here on the channel, but if you go to a range basically anywhere in America, it's going to be like cops and chuds and fat-necked domestic abusers who, you know, whose children fear them. Not because they're cool or impressive, but because they're, like, emotionally unstable. And QAnon type, yeah, there's a reason for that. Vosh, I'm actually from that area. The shooter went to my middle school. It's very common, almost expected, that middle school boys go hunting with their dads. I'm gonna be real with you. A lot of people who go hunting, you motherfuckers are psychopaths. You are not controlling the deer population, and you are not besting nature. You just want to kill something, okay? There are legitimate cases for hunting, because in some areas it's actually like you need to curtail the deer population or they overeat, and then there's like a famine of the deer. Like, I understand there are some, you know, there are circumstances where hunting is actually kind of in line with the natural ebb and flow of nature. But for a lot, especially the, like, young man with the father thing, and it's like, that psycho, you need to learn what it feels like to take a life to be a real man. Now go over there and, like, touch its bloody hole or whatever. Like, what are you freaks? It's not that I want to kill something, it's that I want venison. Don't force me into the vegan position right now, okay? I know that hunting a deer for venison is objectively more ethical than, like, the factory farming industry. But you know what I'm talking about when I talk about that kind of hunter thing, you know, with the father and the son and what have you. Your take on rural culture is genuinely so weird. Karachi the Blind, you want to be main character so bad. You know, you can do it from the back benches. I have no idea why you're so intent on getting banned. What do you mean rural culture, okay? You backwater savages, you will never infect my chat with this weird leftist obsession with pretending that you're valid, okay? I don't buy it, all right? Did a rural individual invent the computer from which I am currently talking to you? No? Sit back down. Get out of here. Yeah, John Rural. Oh, shit. I get angry emails whenever I do this bit, and it's so funny because, like, I talk down on so many broad swaths of people and no one gives a shit, but when you talk about rural people, people lose their minds. I've talked about, like, Russians being Hitlerites, Israelis being Hitlerites. I've talked about white people. I've talked about suburban people. But if you talk about rural people, it's like, whoa, hold on. You mean the noble salt of the earth? No, I mean rural people. If I was talking about the noble salt of the earth, I would have talked about city people. Would have talked about the place where GDP happens, okay? Go back to your damn general store with a rocking chair outside of it, okay? Real coastal city dwellers are talking here. Most pandered to group of people in the country alongside farmers, which many of them are. Oh, and they get to talk down the city people, don't they? No one ever gets angry when anyone talks down to city coastal elite types. Oh, you're New York people, you're Los Angeles people. If you're in the middle America, you can talk shit about the coasts and the cities as much as you want. But God forbid somebody talks shit about you backwater types. All right, he said backwater types. Is that classism? What do you think you're criticizing when you talk about Los Angeles or New York City? Do you think the average person in New York City or Los Angeles is rich? I see right through your double standard. I see right through. The rural folks, they've had it too easy for too long. Too easy for too long. I live in Austin, Texas. Which type of folks am I? You're city folk. Austin, you kidding me? Middle America is a cesspool of sensitive snowflakes. I genuinely think most of the blowback that I get sometimes is from other city people who have, like, what I might call a noble savage attitude towards rural people. Because that's what happened after we had that, like, West Virginia bit, you know, where there were people being like, how dare you talk down to them? Don't you know that there are, like, leftist groups and genuinely good people? Okay, When is there being genuinely good people in any demographic prevented me from making sweeping claims about that demographic? Would you like to apply that to all standards? I say, oh yeah, Israelis are like pretty Hitlerite. Well, there are left-leaning individuals in Israel. Yeah, no shit, man. Obviously. And some, I assume, are good folks. Yeah, it's crazy, Juliet mindset, genuinely. I'm all on board with making fun of rural backwaters, but I think we can agree the real scum of the earth are suburbanites. It's a fierce competition right now, you know? It used to be more the suburbanites, but lately the suburban areas have been trending more blue on average because they've been diversifying as more non-white people move into the suburbs and women have been a more active political bloc. And it's like every rural area is Hitler, dude. Like in every county of America that is rural, like it's Hitler. You know, I call cops Hitlerite because they're like 80% Republican, but there are counties that are far more Republican than that. Do you think we need to ban AR-15s? I don't really believe in gun bans. American gun ban equals mass death event. That is true. Do we need to reopen mental health clinics? For you guys? Maybe. The shooting in Georgia looks like it's going to end up being a political gift to Democrats, mostly because Republicans are so psychotically bought in on the gun lobby that they have no choice but to say things that make them look really callous. Here's J.D. Vance being characteristically sensitive after the shooting.
The Kamala Harris answer to this is to take law-abiding American citizens' guns away from them. That is what Kamala Harris wants to do. She says, look, I don't like this. I don't like to admit this. I don't like that this is a fact of life. But if you are a psycho and you want to make headlines, you realize that our schools are soft targets. And we have got to bolster security at our schools so that a person who walks through the front door We've got to bolster security so that if a psycho wants to walk through the front door and kill a bunch of children, they're not able to. And again, as a parent, do I want my kids' school to have additional security? No, of course I don't. I don't want my kids to go to school in a place where they feel like you've got to have additional security, but that is increasingly the reality that we live in. Now, look.
Nothing that we can do about this, says only country where this is a problem. Yeah, America has like 50 million times as many shooting deaths as other comparably developed countries. But, you know, like, let's not investigate that at all. It's definitely just, you know, that's just how it is. That's just how it is, man. School shootings are a fact of life. You don't need abortions when you can send them to school. True, you know? Just wait a few years. 10-year anniversary of that quote. It really is insane how many more shooting deaths we have in this country. And most other public shootings elsewhere inspired by American shooters. Don't worry, we've got a bold new strategy, okay? We just spend $100 billion paying cops overtime to guard schools. And we get an additional benefit, right? Because as we all know, when off-duty cops are guarding school, well, I guess are on-duty cops, you know, whatever. When cops are guarding schools on overtime, they also like harass and intimidate the students, which Republicans want, often sexually. You know, they like to arrest kids, like kids get in a little scuffle and they're like, oh, you're both black, we're arresting you, even though all you did was get in a minor scuffle and you're both 11 years old. We're going to arrest you. That's definitely a proportional response to this. Very pro-life, very demure. Oh yeah, I saw this one. The Brian Kemp. This is so funny, dude. I cannot believe. Wait. Why is there a subscription wall on this? Brian Kemp. Thoughts and prayers. That's the first thing that shows up. That is wild.
The incredible work that they've done. The response of our first responders today has been unreal. Superintendent.
This is a 16-minute video. Can I get like it brought down slightly? Hold on.
Did incredible job
thoughts
with these
prayers.
kids. This hits home for us. Being from Athens, just down the road, Marty and I having a.
Okay, here we go. I think this is a more pointed.
Well, thank you, Sheriff. Just want to thank you and your team for the incredible work that they've done. The response of our first responders today, who just did an incredible job with these kids. This hits home for us. Being from Athens, just down the road, Marty and I having a daughter that taught first grade just a few years ago. This is everybody's worst nightmare. And I just want to offer my sincere condolences and our thoughts and prayers to the families that have lost loved ones, for those that are injured and continuing to fight, through just a tragic time for
Natural disaster language. That's true. Yeah, Republican language after a shooting is always like, this school shooter blew through. It was a Category 3. We're very sorry about that.
really this whole community that's been affected by today's actions. And I just, Director Stallings, friend.
Is the quote that I'm looking for not even here? Dude, when is it said?
The daughter that taught first grade.
It's
just
so
a few
bad.
years directing these students.
Investigators are actively pursuing, however, any school. I do, however, act school reasonable amount of time.
Armed with a form of an ID called.
Okay.
To support
only
this
here at the beginning.
community and support this team behind me. And with that, I'll turn it over to Director Hosey. School, as we speak, running down every single lead and other things that Director Hosey will mention tonight. You know, I represented Bexar County when I
You literally skipped it? Oh, to not have ADHD.
through just a tragic time for really this whole community that's been affected by today's actions. And I just cannot thank the first responders enough. I cannot thank Director.
He already said thoughts and prayers. That's thoughts and prayers aren't the part of this that we're looking for. Somebody asks a question and he responds with, this is not the time to talk about safety or policy. We're looking for a different quote. This is not the day to talk about safety or policy. We need thoughts and prayers for the victims.
Hosey, let me get
Mr.
Oh, here we go.
Today.
I hate
That's
you
all I
guys.
can tell you. I want to continue to say that.
Today is the day for.
Here.
Thank you.
We already heard it.
Well, look, we've done a tremendous amount on school safety, but today is not the day for politics or policy. Today is the day for an investigation to mourn these precious Georgians that we have lost, to thank the first responders that went, you know, into the line of fire, the school staff, superintendent, the principal, and others that are just trying to hold this community together. That's what we need to be focused on right now. We also had a tragic loss of a firefighter in Greene County earlier today before this event happened, with an explosion that killed the life of a first responder
Killed
that
the
again
life.
was running in to danger when many people were trying to run out. And that's what the focus needs to be on tonight. I would ask everybody to continue to keep this community, these victims, and these educators and these men and women in law enforcement in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you.
Yeah, no time for safety, no time for policy, thoughts and prayers. It really is a gift to the Democrats, who have been running with this pretty aggressively. With this statement from Kemp, from J.D. Vance, you know, it's insane. Genuinely, it's insane. This is actually like a really weak point too, because one of the most aggressive lines that the Republicans try to hit on is getting like concerned parents, you know? But damn, man, they are really, really, really bad at answering this question. I think this is one of the reasons why they tend to be better with women too, because a lot of guys use guns as a kind of like, you know, Freudian psychotic penis substitute and don't really care if kids live or die because they're men, and a lot of men are terrible. And it's the moms who feel, I don't know, maybe a little bit weird about the idea of one of two potential political parties being completely indifferent to the mass slaughter of children through a type of problem that is more or less exclusive to the United States. Anyway, I look forward to them finding out that the 14-year-old shooter is like a, I don't know, incel or whatever. Entirely exclusive to the U.S., right? They don't make them like we do. They don't make them like we do. Seriously, though, what was Vance yapping about? Do you guys want to see some real yapping? Some true, proper yapping? Calling a 14-year-old an incel is crazy. What incel is a mindset. It's not a literal descriptor of a person who wants to f***. If that was the case, a person who wants to f*** but can't, that's me right now. Don't you think I'd rather be doing that than babysitting you? I got everyone's an incel. Oh man, it's 3 p.m. at work at the office. I've got my work done. I'd much rather be f***ing right now. I guess I'm an incel. Incel's a mindset. Say a 14-year-old's an incel, that doesn't reflect in any way on like their actual relations with others. It's a reflection of the parasitic internet message boards that they're on that convince them that, you know, women are evil for not giving it up easier or whatever. Andy No has already claimed the shooter is trans. That's great.